Hey there, broken salespeople. Welcome to the workshop. My name is Red Staffstrom, and we are here to help you fix your broken sales skills. So today I have another interview. As you always know, I don't ask a lot of details beforehand. I don't want to know. I want to be just as surprised as you guys are. So what I'm going to say in the next couple of sentences is pretty much the limit of my knowledge, other than a quick look at her Instagram page, which you should absolutely follow. It looks gorgeous. So I am here with Dawn Viola. I got that one right, right?
You sure did.
All right. With This Honest Food, at This Honest Food. Check her
Mhm.
out on Instagram. The design of it is just like chef's kiss, I have to tell you, just when I looked at it. Um, Now, I don't know a ton about the problem. I know that you're having some issues selling right now.
Mhm.
So why don't you go into a little of what you do, what your niche is, and let's really dive into this.
Yeah. So I help people who have food allergies or autoimmune issues, and it could be, anything from Crohn's to rheumatoid arthritis. I help them heal through food. So I'm a certified executive chef, and I also have a master's degree in health and nutrition education. And I also have a ton of food allergies myself. So my career started in marketing. I have a degree in graphic design, and I worked in advertising for about 18 years. And when I was in my 30s, I found out that I had these food allergies that I've had my whole life, but no doctor for the 36 years of my life up until that point could not figure out why I was so sick all the time. And it was just by accident that I figured it out myself. My daughter had turned 7. I was looking at pictures from her birthday party, and I was like, "Holy cow, you are!" And it's just there's no nice way to say it. You're fat. Like you just are fat, and this is ridiculous. She's 7, and I would keep telling myself, "Oh, it's baby weight. It'll come off." And after 7 years, it hadn't. So I kind of went on this crazy health kick and thought, because of my age, maybe my metabolism was slowing, and I was looking for diets that would really kickstart my metabolism. And I think Friends at that time was still really popular, and or like at the tail end, and Jennifer Aniston was on Atkins, and a bunch of them I think were.
Yeah.
So I looked into that induction phase, which I didn't realize is basically an elimination diet. So you pretty much eat anything, just meat, cheese, and vegetables. And so I did that. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And, but on the third day, I felt amazing. Like for the first time in my life, I even get like, I'm getting choked up talking about it now. For the first time in my life, I did not feel sick. I didn't have a headache, a stomach ache. I wasn't stuffy. I didn't feel out of it. I just wasn't in pain. And so I realized that it was food, and eventually went to a food allergist and ended up with 2 sheets of legal size pieces of paper of everything I was allergic to. So yeah, sorry, I'm talking
Ah,
a lot.
no, this is what I like to hear. Um, so I'm already hearing all of the emotion in terms of what you're doing,
Yeah,
and that's exactly what I want to hear
yeah.
because that's how you're going to want to sell anyway. It's
Hmm.
not about the closing lines; it's going to be about your story. Your
Yeah,
story, your Russell Brunson calls it your attractive character, the
yeah.
problems that you dealt with everything that was going on your daughter's birthday.
Hmm.
Those
Hmm.
are things I really love to tie in
Hmm.
because I can't give you a script for the emotion you're feeling right now.
Yeah, and that's really what drives me is I never want anyone to have to feel the way that I felt going through that whole journey. And it took me years and years to figure it all out. So this was like, 13, 14 years ago, there weren't a whole lot of resources on the internet for food
No.
allergies. And doctors still kind of felt like it was all in your head and you're making it up, and they didn't believe in celiac, and they didn't believe in gluten intolerance or soy allergy, I mean any of that.
Yeah.
So I think the only thing that really resonated was like a peanut allergy at that time. So I ended up putting myself through culinary school just so I could learn how to cook from scratch. My allergy is to legumes, some tree nuts, but just the legume category is
Is massive.
huge.
Yeah.
Beans, soy, peanuts, jicama, fenugreek. I have to be really careful about Indian food and Chinese food. And um, so I basically had to cook everything from scratch. I couldn't go into a store and buy cookies, crackers, bread, um, whipped cream, ice cream. Like I had to learn how to make all that stuff myself if I wanted to eat it because there's so much junk in the food that's sold in the grocery stores. And once I kind of started to go through culinary school and figure out how to actually cook, I realized how easy it is. It really demystified a lot of what I thought was kind of unattainable and impossible to make at home. And I really enjoyed teaching people what I was learning. So I kind of, I at the time I was halfway through culinary school. I was a documentary producer at Disney, and I ended up getting laid off. This It was one of the coolest jobs I've ever had, but that was in 2009, and they did this huge layoff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, ironically, hello, if anyone out there's hiring, I was at Universal and was just part of that big layoff. So yeah, um, so um, I'll talk about that in a minute because that kind of
Yeah.
ties into this. But I I got laid off. I was finishing culinary school and I just loved it so much. I kind of took a leap of faith and jumped into the food world and never really looked back. I figured out a way to combine my marketing experience with food. And from there, just always worked in some kind of training or educational capacity or test kitchen or recipe development capacity for the last 13 or so years. I've lost track how long it's been, but um, I've I've been able to do a lot of really cool things. I've been on Food Network and I won the show I was on, and I've
Oh, which show was it?
worked. Oh, it was a very un, under the radar show called Cooks versus Cons, where they have two professional chefs and two home cooks.
Uh-huh.
Nobody knows who is who, and you compete against each other, 2 rounds. And it's kind of like To Tell the Truth meets Chopped, kind of like a
Okay.
combination of that. And I ended up winning $10,000 on that show.
That's
It was,
awesome.
yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a really cool
And to
experience.
be able to do it, I assumed you kept, because I know how much,
Hmm.
especially narratively in a place like Food Network,
Yeah.
how much that involves your own personal story and how much they like to pull that narrative into the
Yeah.
story. So I'm
Yep.
sure you were talking about all these things like
Hmm.
your allergy journey and all of that too.
Absolutely was.
Yeah.
Absolutely was. Yeah, that was woven into the whole thing.
So everything
And
you were teaching and talking and cooking
mhm,
was your style of cooking, which was
right.
drastically different than, well,
Yep.
quite frankly, the way I cook and eat, whether I should or not.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was the fun part about it is they're giving me all these crap ingredients and I had to turn it into something healthy. I didn't have to. That just was my point of view, my cooking point of
Yes.
view. So
Yeah, and
so
I've
yeah,
seen, like, I've always loved the
mhm.
marketing behind the scenes, like the Food Network
Yeah.
star on those shows, is
Yep.
seeing how they create that,
Hmm.
I like the term attractive character, but because that's the one that
Yeah.
I'm used to from Russell Brunson.
Yep.
If you're in the marketing world, I'm sure you've come across his path quite a bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was kind of that's part of the reason why I love doing TV is because I have that marketing background and I completely understand the story and the drama that they're trying to build. But at the same time, you like it's real. You're really cooking and you really have a timer and you really don't have a second chance to
Yeah.
fix whatever mistake you made. So yeah, so it was just a blast. And I've like I said, I worked for Disney, I've worked for Universal, I've built culinary schools and programs, and I've just had this wild, crazy, awesome career.
Yeah.
And nobody cares. When I go out there and I say, I've been through what you've been through. Here's how I got through it. And I've created this amazing program that's going to help you feel better.
Mhm.
And it just doesn't resonate. And I don't know where to find these people, and I don't know how to talk to them. I thought I did because I'm one of them, and I'm
Mhm.
in all these Facebook groups,
Yep.
and I'm listening and I'm reading and I'm taking their language, like they tell you to do. Find your customers, take their language, ask them what they want, put it in your sales pitch or your program or whatever. It's just not working. And I I just launched a free, like I'm doing 2 days free Thanksgiving gluten free. I will teach you how to make everything from scratch, totally gluten free. You can eat it all probably for the first time in your life. You'll be able to eat a full Thanksgiving dinner. I have like 15 people signed up.
Okay.
So it's like, where are these people? Is there like a
And the
secret
weird thing is
society that?
that has gotten to be such an amazing niche.
Hmm.
It really has.
Hmm.
It has really become like I I think I came across the term celiac probably 5 years after you did, and I
Hmm.
was still mystified by it.
Yeah.
Now I hear it like my nephew is
Hmm.
he's just turned a year old back in September. He's having a lot of these allergies too, and as a parent,
Hmm.
like my as an uncle, not even as a parent for him,
Yeah.
I can't imagine how stressful that is.
Mhm.
You know, like
Yeah.
that. So let's talk first. So you're doing a lot of the things right in terms of
Mhm.
leveraging Facebook groups, talking to people, doing all of those different things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the product then, because
Okay.
something about the product may not be speaking to them.
Yeah, and that's a another avenue that I'm looking at as well. I really am examining everything. Like, what the
Mhm,
hell am I doing wrong? Where have I gone wrong? So I don't have a whole lot that I sell. Um, like I mentioned before, I had a full-time job,
mhm,
and this was just sort of like my side hustle. I will tell you that I think it was I lost track, 2 years, 3 years ago. I actually opened a brick and mortar teaching kitchen
okay.
in my town, and it lasted for less than 6 months. It was not profitable, and I had to close it. And it was um, emotionally,
Devastating.
physically, financially, yeah, all of it. So I kind of have recovered from that finally. I had this amazing job at Universal that I loved. I was a culinary training manager, and I was in charge of all the training for every food venue there. It just was the coolest job, and got laid off. So I was like, okay, no problem. I'm just going to focus on this honest food, and we're going to get it back up and running, and we're going to put these programs back on there. And zip, zip, zip. And nope, it's not just not resonating. So uh, I've got 3 programs that I sell. I've got a couple of lead magnets that are on there. I'll do like a single session coaching session with people, and then cooking classes. People can sign up for cooking classes. So the programs are, there's a sugar repair program that w- really educates people on dangers of sugar, what it does to your body, how to get out of that cycle, how to break that addiction. There's a 7-day food plan that goes with that. There is a 30-day reboot, and that is kind of a rename of what I originally had called Food as Medicine program. And that's really the program that healed me from my food allergies. And it walks you through 4 pillars of really easy to remember phrases, so that when you come across a certain kind of food, you think of these phrases. It goes into one of those categories, and you just kind of learn about how it affects your body and remember it from those phrases. Um, and then there's like I forget what it's called, one of the lower cost programs. And that is the first step of the 30-day. And it's helping you figure out when you first realize that you have food allergies or diabetes or heart disease, and you realize, holy cow, I have to change my diet and I have no idea what to eat or what to do. this, especially for people with food allergies, this walks them through step by step how to figure out what they can eat and can't eat before they've even gone to get their food allergy test. Because a lot of times with conventional medicine and even with food allergies, even though it's a specialized area of medicine, they are asking you a lot of questions. And if you don't have the answers, your visit isn't going to yield a lot of important information that you're looking for.
Uh,
So,
yeah, I believe that.
yeah.
I'm
So
not a huge
this,
fan of doctors myself because they
yeah.
expect you to know everything, and but if you show up with a WebMD page, they get upset too.
Yeah, exactly.
Y-
You know,
y-
that it happened to me just recently. I'm asking a doctor all these questions and they're getting upset with me because they feel like I'm challenging them. And I'm like, I just answer the damn question and
yeah,
stop getting all upset. So,
yeah,
and then you end up going home and doctoring yourself.
yeah, exactly.
Um, so this helps that person get to that good place where they can have a really productive doctor visit. So it teaches them how to calm down, how to kind of step away from it for a second and make these food lists of what they know they can eat, what they know they can't eat, and anything that they aren't sure about. And then they take the list of what they can eat, and that's what they build their meal plans from. So all of a sudden, the mindset of I'm I hate this. I hate the world. I don't know what to eat. I can't eat anything. I feel hungry all the time. They've got, 3 pages of food that they can eat. And then we can work together to create meals from that for them. So I think that's pretty awesome. but
Yeah.
I but I don't know why it's not resonating.
So my first thought on that one,
Hmm.
as simple as it is for you, it's still overwhelming to them.
Hmm.
Like when you had to do the reset, you had to set it down to 3 things: meat,
Yeah.
cheese, like
Yeah.
that was all you had to do, and it was very simple. To have
Hmm.
3 pages, yes, I know it seems like it would be freeing,
Hmm.
but it's the same idea with when you go to the grocery store and there's 30 kinds of peanut butter.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, the best at that point, what you may wanna do is try to figure out a way where you can do that base food, like very
Hmm.
simple, like steps, to narrow it down. The simpler you can make it, the better, because
Hmm.
people, as much as people say they want options, they don't. I hate to
That's
say
what
it.
I'm learning, yeah.
Yes. Um, Also, right now, like I love that you have these 3 products. You may want to pare it down to 2 because you're trying to.
Okay.
And I think the 30-day reboot is probably the one, and you may want to even pare it down to 1 right now.
Yeah, and the 30-day reboot, I only offer that quarterly because
Yeah.
I do it live.
Okay.
Like, we're online,
Yeah,
pretty
like you do it
much.
in a Facebook group kind of thing.
Exactly, exactly.
So your biggest problem, like in terms of your biggest hurdle that you have, is food is an addiction, which
Mhm,
is in some cases why they're in the situation they're in, especially if they're,
mhm,
say, pre-diabetic or diabetic.
right.
That's a major thing. That's their coping mechanism that's been there for years. It's that Nietzsche line. Um, you know,
Mhm.
um, Now I can't even remember it, but and I picked up all these like unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah. Mhm,
Um, that is a very big hurdle to overcome.
mhm,
And sometimes people would prefer to just have simple rather than freedom.
mhm.
That might be the direction to go.
Yeah.
Back onto the Russell Brunson side of things,
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of his strategy with the 2-comma club. You keep it to 1 product until you make $1 million off of it.
Oh, okay.
That way you're putting all your energy into 1. Now you can
Mhm,
do that first step of that 30-day, the
mhm.
3rd product that you talked about, that could still
Yeah.
be your lead-in funnel, but the
Mhm,
primary product that you sell is the 7-day food plan for the sugar repair,
mhm.
is the way that I would do it, because 7 days is not overwhelming.
Right.
The problem is going to be is it takes 21 days to make a habit
Yeah.
from a psychological perspective, but that's easy because it's 7 days. You just do it 3 times.
Yeah.
Same menu. You could literally cook it all, freeze it all, do
Mhm.
it in a weekend, do it on a Sunday, and you're
Mhm.
good for 3 weeks.
Right.
You can also do an upcharge. So what I'm thinking of literally right now is my wife has done HelloFresh. You thought
Mhm.
about doing anything along those lines?
Yeah, I have, and I've been researching, connecting with, like, as an affiliate
Hmm.
to one of those, and it's just finding the right fit. So, I know like HelloFresh is just one example, but
Well, what I'm thinking of is rather than
mhm,
you send them the ingredients, because
yeah.
you're really dealing with two major obstacles.
Mhm.
They have to be willing to change their life,
Mhm.
and they have to feel confident enough to cook.
Yeah.
Those are two big ones. If you
Mhm.
can take away one of those major obstacles, like, hey, sign up now and you'll get my 7-day diet. I'll show you exactly what to pick up from the store. It's going to give you the
Mhm.
whole refresh and you won't feel hungry.
Yeah.
That's step one. And then you do the upcharges. Hey, for $100, I will actually cook it for you, or for 150, whatever, and send you the meals in frozen containers.
Mhm. Yeah, that I can't do.
You
I
cannot.
love that idea, but I can't do that,
Well, it's
because
not
I'm
scalable
not.
right now.
Yeah. In the
Uh,
future, sure.
yeah.
I'd have to find a different way to do that like for the immediate future.
Yeah. But that might, you again, for your products, the big obstacles is those two. So if you could find
Yeah.
a way to get rid of one of those obstacles,
Mhm.
um, they're afraid they can't cook.
Yeah.
Most people are.
Mhm. Yeah.
I can, and for me, I can cook, but I can't
Mhm.
cook according to a recipe. I never have
Yeah.
been. I can't
Mhm.
follow directions.
Yeah. And that's where I want to take the next part of this is I want to teach them how to cook. I'm a chef, and that's
Mhm.
that's what I do. So, um
The tricky thing is getting them to a point where is that the way they want to go?
yeah,
I'm
it
trying to.
doesn't feel like it is because they're not signing up.
So I think you. So I love the idea of like this honest. I love your goal. I love your purpose. You've got
Mhm.
the right like all the marketing you're doing is right. I think the problem is the product.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a lot of the right things.
Mhm.
Um, I think the way we need to kind of brainstorm this is tweak the products themselves,
Okay.
because you're trying to tackle two very big obstacles,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, and two limiting beliefs that people have. I know
Mhm.
cooking is easy, but I've also been doing it for 25 years,
Mhm.
30 years. Basically,
Yeah.
my mom didn't do like, my mom was never a cook. She
Mhm.
just bought, and she always, just as like a funny side story,
Mhm.
my mom didn't know how to buy for meals.
Mhm.
She just bought what was on sale.
Yeah, and then she'd just make it up.
No, she wouldn't make it up. I'd make it up.
Ah,
No,
okay.
because she worked. So my dad traveled 40 weeks a year. My mom worked 60, 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
If I wanted to eat, it was Lucky Charms to learn how to use a spatula.
Yeah.
Every night was like chopped in my house.
Yeah.
It was okay. We have shake and bake, no chicken, mayonnaise, no lunch meat. What are we going to
Yeah.
do?
Mhm.
And you just figure it out. That's how I learned to cook.
Yeah, I love that.
That's so I know what you know.
Mhm.
Cooking is easy.
Yeah.
It's not something overwhelming,
Mhm.
but you're asking them to make two major life changes.
Yeah, so how do I guess, how do I say that to them? Like, how do
Well,
I get them to realize that you cooking is easy and I can show you
mhm.
how?
Well, one way you do it is you have to be very blunt with them up front and tell them that.
Mhm.
You have to be very blunt that I'm not, what I'm selling you is not a solution
Mhm.
yet, or
Mhm.
that's not quite the right phrase. It's not, what I'm selling you is simple, not
Mhm.
easy.
Yeah.
There are plenty of other people out there, the Nutrisystems of the world, that make it
Mhm.
sound like it's a magic bullet.
Mhm.
Nothing is going to be. And having that brutally honest conversation is one of my favorite tools in the world. In the world of
Yeah.
sales, telling people what they are going to hate and setting those expectations right away.
Mhm.
The reason you're having a problem is because you have, and you could have marketing that sounds exactly
Mhm.
like this. You have
Yeah.
two limiting beliefs.
Mhm.
One is that cooking is hard, and two is that change is hard.
Mhm.
They're both kind of right, but they're holding you back.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm writing frantically.
And of course, but that is by addressing those right up front and
Mhm.
saying that real change doesn't happen until you do it yourself.
Mhm.
You can't send somebody 49.95 and have your life change.
Right.
That's not going to happen. I
Mhm.
can give you the tools to do it, but it's still up to you to take the
Mhm.
hammer off the pegboard and actually do something with it.
Yeah, it's on my shirt, although it's backwards. It says one
Yes.
small change.
Actually, yeah. So, but it's not one small change now. It's two large
It's
changes, and we
two
have to,
large changes.
we can't minimize
Mhm.
how big it's going to be,
Yeah.
because even if you get people to sign up by selling it as one small change,
Mhm.
they're going to fail.
Well, that's not, I want to kind of correct that. So
Okay.
the one small change is part of like the 30-day, and it's you make one change every day or every
Oh,
week.
okay.
This
So it's a
program's
step program.
Yeah, this program's going to last for 30 days, but if you feel overwhelmed, it can be longer. You can stretch it out. It's really up to you. Here are
Okay.
all the steps, and you're just going to make one small
Okay.
change that's
Each day.
comfortable to you.
So it's one small
Mhm.
change each day that you're
Mhm.
doing, as opposed
Yeah.
to one small change. So it's
Right.
30 small changes that make a massive action.
Exactly. So,
Okay.
yeah, like the very first step is we're going to clean out your pantry, but you're just going to look in your pantry and your refrigerator and your freezer the first day. You're just going to look and see what's in there. And that's
Yes.
it. And then we're going to go through your
Mhm.
fats, your carbohydrates, your whatever, and the next
Okay.
day and the next day. So it's a very incremental, so it's not overwhelming.
Okay. I think for your marketing and for your sales, I think you lean
Mhm.
into it. It's a big change,
Yeah.
and that they're
Okay.
the ones who have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, and because you're in marketing, you've probably read this, building a story brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You are not the hero of your story, they are.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if they accomplish something great, you need to reward them for it and let them
Mhm.
know that you're there as Obi-Wan to give them the lightsaber.
Yeah.
They're the ones who have to take down the empire.
Mhm.
That so by saying it, like, I know one small change in what you're talking about with that 30-day reboot,
Mhm.
but we need to address how monumental the change really is that they have to undertake.
Okay.
Because if people are feeling sick, if they've
Mhm.
gotten a diagnosis that could be life threatening,
Mhm.
which in some of these cases it can be,
Absolutely.
if they just got that, they know they need a big change. They know it
Mhm.
internally. Don't minimize that.
Mhm.
Let them feel overwhelmed and that everything has to change. You know what? I'm here to help you. I'm here to
Mhm.
be your Obi-Wan. You're still the one who's going to have to go and do it.
Mhm.
You still have to take that shot at the end.
Yeah.
Let I think that, and then you start building the products and
Mhm.
you let them know how much they have to do themselves. It's not
Yeah.
7-minute abs.
Right.
This is a massive change. It's going to
Yeah.
suck.
Mhm.
let's, I'm not here to sugarcoat it. That's kind of
Hmm.
off brand anyway.
Yeah. All
But
right. I
that's,
like that.
yes, I'm not, I'm here to be brutally honest with you. I don't
Hmm.
sugarcoat things because that's not helping you anyway.
Hmm.
For me to be the nice one,
Yeah.
they're okay. If they're ready to make a change, if they're ready to invest in a product like you have, if they want that
Hmm.
expertise,
Hmm.
they're ready.
Yeah. So then my next question is, where are they? Why
Where
can't
are
I
they?
find them?
It sounds like you found them. It's just you haven't been
Hmm.
able to reach them.
Yeah.
That sounds like what's the case, because if you're in the groups, you're talking to people with celiacs, with gluten
Hmm.
intolerances, with this has become a very big blue water niche right
Hmm.
now. The problem is it doesn't work locally, and that's part of the problem that you had with the test kitchen is it's
Right.
a
Yeah.
very big area nationwide. You've probably got
Hmm.
hundreds of thousands of people,
Yep.
and you've got at least tens of thousands who are correct, like who are diagnosed with it.
Yep.
That's another part of the campaign that you have to run is just
Hmm.
awareness
Yeah.
that these are the problems you're having.
Hmm.
If like and I don't know all the symptoms other than stomach irritability, which that's putting it
Hmm.
mildly from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if every day, not to be gross, you're dropping a giant batch of froyo, then that's an issue. That's a symptom.
Yeah.
Now maybe this is it. Maybe it's not, but maybe it is.
Hmm.
Rather than pay $50 for your deductible, let me walk you through how you could cut it out for a week.
Hmm.
If you feel better
Okay.
at the end of the week, then we know. If not, then
Hmm.
it doesn't hurt. Then, but help them reach that diagnosis because it doesn't
Hmm.
sound like many allergists will do that.
Yeah.
And you don't just trip and fall into an allergist's office.
Right.
You need to kind of plant the seed that that might be what's wrong.
Hmm. Yes. And
So you're
yeah.
doing a lot of the right things in terms of finding
Hmm.
people from the sounds of it. Facebook groups are one of my favorite ways.
Hmm.
Hop on as many, like borrow other people's audiences as much as you can.
Yeah. I just stumbled on, I don't even know who the person was on Instagram, and that was one of their lead magnets was borrow other people's audiences, click this, listen to this, learn how, buy my program, blah, blah, blah. You know how they work.
But and it doesn't have to be anything major. Like just find any food blog site. The
Hmm.
same way you can hop on any show on Food Network, you could hop on any food podcast and hold
Hmm.
your own.
Yeah.
Whatever their specific pumpkin spice lattes, go for it. I'm sure you know how to make it in a slightly different way.
Hmm.
And there's probably a bunch of basic white girls who would love that. There are
Hmm.
probably even places that would love like a little like m- mommy blogs.
Hmm.
Mommy blogs are big right now.
Yeah.
To talk to them like, hey, do you have kids who are having these issues?
Hmm.
Especially because, again, I know my nephew Lincoln, he's having them.
Yeah.
They're going crazy with that kind of stuff. How do
Hmm.
you know what to look for? Now, you're
Hmm.
talking about it as if you're talking to the kids,
Yeah.
but the moms will know because a lot of the celiacs and allergies are genetic conditions anyway.
Yeah.
They'll probably
Well,
know that.
yeah, and that's the like one of those debunked myths.
Is it?
Uh, y- yeah,
Okay.
but those are the kinds of things that I'd like to educate them about once they get into that program is it's not genetics. Just because it runs in your family doesn't mean that you have to have it. There's something that usually triggers it.
Okay.
And so I like to talk to them about that because it has to do with the amount of inflammation in the body, the other foods that they're eating, stress, sleep, environment. Like, there's so many things, and people
And
just
that's why I like, from what I've
hmm
heard from allergies, the only thing that's ever really made sense is
yeah,
genetics.
yeah,
So, and I know this isn't my area of expertise, but I do know the moms are hyper
hmm
staring at these signals.
they totally are. I'm glad that you said that too, because
Yeah,
I love to talk about it.
but to have an idea and have a
hmm
PDF of 3 easy one-pan meals
hmm
for ramen noodles, let's say, because I think
hmm
rice is okay in a lot of the celiac food, correct?
hmm
So, because
Yeah.
I'm obvious, you are the expert, I'm not, so correct me.
hmm
But how do you do the ramen? How do you do the rice? How do you do those in a way that kids will eat it? Because they
hmm
have, if it's not chicken nuggets, they don't want it.
Right.
How do you do that where it's fun for them,
hmm
but it's not making them sick? And if in a few days they start feeling better,
hmm
light bulb.
Yeah.
But mommy blogs are going to be a big one for you, I think.
hmm All right, I'll definitely start stalking stalking those on Facebook and seeing
Yeah.
what's out there.
But make sure, so embrace the idea that these are big changes for your adults.
Yeah.
That's going to be give them the credit they're due.
hmm
Let them know that this is not going to be a small undertaking. Prep them
hmm
for that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, trying to make Thanksgiving sound easy,
hmm
you and I know it is, and we know it will be, because it's the
hmm
same process to cook gluten-free foods. It's just a little bit of change in the fats and the carbohydrates and
hmm
things like that.
hmm
We know it's easy because we know how to cook.
Yeah.
They don't.
hmm
So let them feel like this is going to be a major accomplishment.
hmm
Let them feel like, you know what? I can help you cook it. It's not going to be the same as your grandma used to make,
hmm
but you're going to be so satisfied that you did it, and the look on your nephews, your cousins, your whatever's face,
Yeah.
because you stepped out of your comfort zone and did something that was healthy for them,
hmm
that's going to be worth it for you.
hmm
But let them feel the accomplishment. Don't minimize it.
hmm
And then in terms of finding people, you're doing a lot of the right things. I don't
Okay.
think you need to change, but maybe add some like mommy blogs, or
Yeah.
target some families as opposed to just,
hmm
you know, um, for those people, it's like, hey, try it for a week. Give them that
hmm
option. If you
Yeah.
like it, fine. Then I can offer you some more, but
hmm
let's try it for a week. I can give
Yeah.
you the grocery order.
hmm Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm writing.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
listening and writing.
so you're doing the big thing though. So I know you
hmm
hopped on in order to talk about more of the sales side. How do you get the sales?
hmm
Leverage your story.
hmm
You have an amazing story, and I literally heard you getting ready to be choked up.
Yeah, I was getting choked up.
So I don't know how familiar you are with
Mhm.
neurology.
Mm, I probably the average person's knowledge.
Okay. So the limbic system in the brain is the part where all the emotions take place.
Mhm.
The brainstem literally connects to the limbic system.
Mhm.
All decisions are emotional. In
Mhm.
fact, you cannot be emotional and logical at the same time. The
Yeah.
it's two different. The logical system is in the prefrontal cortex. Limbic system is kind of like right smack dab in the middle of the brain.
Mhm.
Every logical decision has to get filtered through the limbic system in order to go down the brainstem.
Okay.
Leverage the stories, leverage the emotions,
Mhm.
offer to help, and not just your own story.
Mhm.
Leverage the stories of people that you've helped change.
Mhm.
I don't know if you have anybody like that yet.
Mhm.
Um, a few weeks ago, I did an interview with a woman named Kiara Hawkins.
Mhm.
She did a branding. She started a branding company.
Okay.
Didn't really have customers yet.
Mhm.
She just posted on Instagram that now she's getting customers. She's starting to charge them now, which she wasn't
That's
before because
great.
she was trying to be nice to them,
Yeah.
charging $1,000 a piece.
Yeah. That's awesome.
The way she did it was she
Mhm.
started helping people for free.
Mhm.
Offer to do everything you possibly can to change somebody's life
Mhm.
and know the stories.
Yep.
There are probably people, if you've got a local group
Mhm.
that's focused, you probably have some customers from your test kitchen
Yep.
that you had.
Mhm.
Find people who identified with your message, the celiac, the food
Mhm.
allergies, all of that. Help them with one-on-one coaching and do
Mhm.
everything you can to change their life for the better.
Okay.
Focus on them. Once you do that, now you have a testimonial. Now you have two
Mhm.
stories to leverage. You have yours and theirs.
Mhm.
Then maybe do it for a third person. Now
Yep.
you've got three. And now you've also got proven results.
Mhm.
Now it's a lot easier to sell
Yep.
because two things happen then. One, you have social proof, and two,
Mhm.
you have confidence in yourself that you can change people's lives.
Mhm.
That confidence is the biggest part of sales.
Mhm.
The reason I had my breakdown was because I
Mhm.
did not believe in my product,
Mhm.
and I was still trying to force it anyway. You believe in the message that you're selling,
Mhm.
but we have to tweak the product and we have to know what makes the big changes. And the only way you
Right.
can do that is by helping people make the big changes.
Mhm.
Do a few pro bono cases.
Mhm.
Then you have the testimonials for your website.
Yeah.
So while right now you can't do the
Mhm.
frozen meals sent to their door, you can do
Yeah.
that for them, can't you?
Mhm.
You can
Yeah,
say
I
what
can do
this
it one
diet
on
has done
one.
for them
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
now you're just cooking dinner for a couple of people.
Mhm. Right.
Will it cost you 50, $60? Yeah, but in terms of marketing cost, knowing that
Mhm.
that's what they went through, that they actually
Yeah.
stuck to it,
Mhm. Yeah.
that is the social proof that you need. And
Mhm.
once you have that story from somebody other than the person who's collecting the payment,
Yeah. Mhm.
that is one of the best things to have at the front of a funnel.
Mhm. Yeah, oh, totally. That's one thing that I definitely need more of
Yes.
are those testimonials.
And it's very difficult for you to do that right now.
Mhm.
And the only way to grow a company at this stage is either sweat equity or check equity. You either put in the
Mhm.
labor or you put in the money.
Yep.
It's a little of both in this case. You're going to
Mhm.
have to pay for the ingredients. You're going to have to
Yeah.
do the legwork. You're going to have to be in the kitchen and sweat.
Mhm.
But if you can get them to change their life in 7 days because they saw the difference that you saw in those 3 days in
Yeah.
2009,
Mhm. Yeah.
I'd say three, like two or three at least.
Okay.
Then see what the stories sound like.
Mhm.
Then you take those stories and you scream them wherever you can. When you go
Okay.
on those mommy blogs, when you go on those mommy podcasts,
Mhm.
let me tell you about Jennifer.
Mhm.
I wanted to see her change her life so much. I cooked the meals myself for her.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's going to make such a huge impact. And then they're like, wow. It's not
Mhm.
just and I hate the way this term has been twisted
Mhm.
over the years. Everybody thinks they're the snowflake. Everybody thinks their body is so different.
Mhm.
Let them believe that.
Yeah.
But give them the chance to say, you know what, I'll at least give it a shot.
Mhm.
And then they can understand what they'll get from it.
Right.
I know that phrase, if people could test drive a healthy body, no one would live the same again. That's the idea you want to go after.
Mhm. Right.
You might have to force some people to get healthy first,
Mhm.
but that's okay.
Yeah. All right.
So those are, I think, the action items.
Yeah, I
Fi-
think
f-
that that's awesome.
yeah, find some test cases. Now you can
Mhm.
leverage those.
Yep.
Mommy blogs,
Yep.
and embrace the big changes. Let people
Yeah.
feel that they've changed, that their whole life has been a revolution since they've come across you.
Mhm.
That everything has changed because they've been willing to
Yep.
embrace the big shift that it is, and tell them
Mhm.
how difficult it's going to be.
Yeah. The big shift. I like that. Maybe that's what I'll call the program.
I kind of like that.
I do too.
Although, well, like, I don't know, like, shift, and, like, for whatever reason, I think bowel movement too,
Yeah.
but it might need some workshopping.
Yeah, definitely.
But something like,
Mhm.
I really love I've been loving the term revolution, but something to that
Mhm.
effect I've been really liking a lot,
Yeah.
because you need to turn your world upside down.
Mhm.
But turning your world upside down is the only way you're going to get the change and get the results you really need.
Right. Mhm.
So, but I'm
There
really excited for you. I think there's a ton of things that you can do right now.
I am too. I feel a little more re-energized
Mm.
after talking to you. And I know I was a little quiet for a while, but I have like 4 pages of notes. So I was frantically writing everything that you were saying.
Well, but
Um,
that's
mhm,
exactly what I have to contend with,
mhm.
is because I do this cold every single time, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't expect you to know me. I can't expect you to trust that I have anything worthwhile to say.
Well, for the record, I think you do have worthwhile things to say.
Well, let's see how it works first. Let's not count the
Yeah.
chickens yet.
Okay.
But I'm
Fair
pretty
enough.
confident. If nothing else, we've given you a little bit of direction.
Yeah, for sure.
Now it's just, how do you move
Mhm.
that massive action to those few
Right.
things?
Mhm.
I don't want to give you any more. I want you to come back on later and have new problems.
Okay, I hope I have yeah, new problems too,
I-
like
it-
too many
and
sales.
well, and sales is always going to be a little bit of a problem. You can't have business without sales.
Right. Mhm.
And it's a big encompassing thing. But next time, I want you to come on and say, like, hey, I've
Mhm.
had to hire 3 people and I'm having a tough time managing their personalities. That's where
Yeah.
we want to get you to.
Yeah, I think that that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. I want bigger and better problems from you.
Yeah, I do too.
So, Dawn, let people know where they can get a hold
Mhm.
of you, where they can find you, if they want to take part in the big shift, I guess we call it right now. Sub
Yeah.
change pending, the big shift.
Yeah,
How
for
do they
sure.
get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Well, they can find me all over social media. The blog is thishonestfood.com, where you can download all kinds of healthy recipes. It's also where you'll find my programs. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's all under This Honest Food.
Yes. And
Mhm.
again, visually, I have to tell you, the Instagram specifically, like, it I'm not a big visual person, because
Mhm.
I'm a big orange ginger and I'm not big on making things look pretty.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like, it made me open my eyes and kind of do that double take, like,
Oh, good.
like,
I'm glad.
the,
Well,
the, the marketing idea, manage your grid, you got
yeah.
it.
I took all those pictures myself. So thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, but it looks awesome. Everybody who's listening, make sure that you check her out. So thank you so much for being on. I love that you shared your story and the personal parts
Yeah.
of your story. Like, you didn't
Mhm.
cover those up and talk about any of those things.
Mhm.
This has been a great conversation. I've loved having it.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all of the advice and
Yeah.
for having me on.
And don't be afraid to reach out.
I won't. I'm
I
gonna.
want to take this and build something. Like, there's nothing more fun to me than building these kinds of things.
Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna
like
be your case
multi-million dollar
study.
Legos to me.
Definitely.
So, well, thank you so much. Once again, Dawn, make sure you follow This Honest Food. Um, Thank you for listening to the Broken Salespeople podcast. I'm Red Staffstrom, and until next time, go fix yourself.